Welcome to the Putnam County Republican Club. My name is Rhonda Williams. I'm your president. Thank you for being here this evening. We see some new faces. It's always interesting and exciting for us to see you. We meet, just so you know, we meet on the second Thursday of every month, and here at the Viking Center. And this time of the year, we're always blessed to have candidates with us to give us some information on who they are, what they represent, and why we should vote for them. So in the meantime, we're going to get started, and I'm going to ask Larry Harvey to come to the microphone and give us a prayer. If everyone will stand, please.
Let us bow our heads. Gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for today, a day we've never experienced before in our life. Father, I say that a lot, but I say that because we need to invest in other people's lives, make their day brighter, give them hope for the future. And Father, as anything, bless our country. Father, we ask that you do bless our country today, bless our state and our county, bless all the hands of people that make our lives better here in this county and in this state and this country. Father, we thank you for the Republicans and the conservative cause. Lord, we ask that you just bless our efforts tonight, bless our speakers tonight, and Lord, just give us clear direction as we move forward. Father, we ask that you bless our veterans in the room and the ones serving across the way, Father, keeping us out of harm's way. And Father, we thank you for our brave men and women who respond and answer the page and answer the call when we run out, Father. Be with them and their families, and be with our servicemen and women. Father, we ask that you just be with us tonight, guide us and protect us from everything. And Lord, we just give you praise, honor, and glory. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Judy Rangel, if you'll lead us in the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. We appreciate your being here. Thank you so much. We're going to recognize the dignitaries we have in the room. So we'll start with County Commissioner J.R. Newbold. If you'll stand up. Thank you. We have Supervisor of Elections. Where did Charles go? Charles Overturf, back in the corner. Charles. And then we have County Commissioner Larry Harvey. And I think that's all the elected officials we have. Is there anyone else? Did I miss someone? No. If you are here as a visitor for the first time tonight, if you will raise your hand or stand and let us recognize you, please. Thank you so much for being here. And then, as always, leave the best for last, and that is our veterans. If you are a veteran, please stand and let us honor you. Thank you so much for your service. We certainly appreciate it. So we're going to go ahead and get started with a lot of really great information tonight. And just so that you all know, we do record all of these meetings, and so you can see the full recording on our Facebook page, or we also send it out in a link in our newsletter every month. So if you have missed past meetings and would like to see them, if you check your newsletter or check our website, or just give us an email and we'll be glad to send you the link out on YouTube. But this meeting will also be recorded tonight and you'll be able to see. So we're going to start the evening. So Buddy is not here. He is working down south and could not make it tonight, so I am filling in for him. Big shoes to fill, but we'll get started. So tonight we have as a guest speaker Scotty Lagasse Jr. and Scotty's a second-generation former professional stock car racing driver and a co-owner with his father of St. Augustine-based championship-winning Scott Lagasse Racing, more commonly known in motorsports community as Team SLR. Like his father, Scott carved out his own career behind the wheel, earning numerous accolades while climbing the ladder from local late model events through Florida and the Southeast all the way to the NASCAR ranks. Team SLR is in its 10th season of TA2 Series competition and as an official young driver, development partner of manufacturer Chevrolet. The team has become the dominant organization in the series the past 2 seasons, currently riding an 11-year-old, I'm sorry, my eyes are old and print is very small. Operate M1 race cars, an official chassis supplier to the TA2 series, and are in the processing of developing a 440-acre Roaring Pines Motor Club facility adjacent to the Palaca Municipal Airport in Putnam County. It will include pit lane garages, clubhouse, restaurant, motorsport museum, event space, training facility, corporate meeting rooms, a boutique hotel and lodge. Scott has worked closely in the past with the Florida Department of Transportation, promoting pedestrian and bicycle safety for the Alert Today Florida campaign. And as a cancer survivor, he remained active as an advocate for the Florida Cancer Society. So please welcome to the podium, Scotty Lagasse.
Thanks for having me. Sorry, bear with me, I'm starting to get sick, I think. So, what I was going to do for tonight, and it's great to see, I actually have quite a few good friends in this room, so that makes it nice and a little more, I don't think it makes it more comfortable, actually. It's less comfortable that way, but got a quick slideshow we'll run through. It's a bit dated in regards to this project is moving so fast that this is a few months old and a lot's happened since then, so I'll try to bring everybody up to speed on that, and then was going to open up for just questions. It seems that everybody has a lot of questions. A lot of people have heard about the project and what we're doing. For me, it's become very much a family project, a legacy project for my dad who grew up here, so something we're extremely proud of, and it seems to be going phenomenal right now. So. Kind of just a placeholder drawing. I think what I probably should tell you, so and it was mentioned before, the core of the project, obviously very expensive project. It's a racetrack training facility coupled with high-end car garages. These will be owned by individuals. They will outfit the interior how they want them and have utilization of the track. So kind of a common model across the country. Really across the world, I think there's 40 of them to date that operate this type of process. Ours being a little bit unique in the fact that we're a factory General Motors driver development program. So our race team spends all year developing young drivers for General Motors. The latest one we had last year, a kid by the name of Tristan McKee, just signed a 10-year NASCAR contract at 15 years old. GM sent him to us at 13 and a half, and we expected to have him for 2.5 to 3 years. Last year he figured things out pretty well, won 4 of the last 5 or 6 races, won the championship. Turned 15, he was 14 at the time, turned 15, ran his first ARCA race and won that immediately. So really that's where the core of this, I keep hitting this thing, sorry. The core of this project came from that Dad and I have kind of fallen in love, for lack of a better term, of helping young kids. My big joke is I did a great job of ruining a good career doing a lot of dumb stuff. So we get pretty good at keeping them out of the trouble. So the idea was, instead of us traveling around the country, we have one of the most beautiful places in the country. Why not build a facility that these kids can come to? And it's evolved from that to a place that the current professionals will utilize. GM will build a training room on site with hand-eye coordination boards, spa, I say spa, it's more ice plunge, stuff like that, gym. So really that was the core of it, and it's evolved into this massive project now that's got us working 7 days a week. So, all right, next, that's the 15. The top left is the 15-year-old. It just turned 15 that I was telling you about. We won the champion. His name Tristan McKee. So simple amenities. It'll have our primary focus is on road course racing, so left-right stuff. Although both of us came out of the oval track world, my dad was known for and made his career in the road racing world. I went the other way. I went oval track racing, then came to the road course world. But our main discipline is that, although we will put an oval on site for training purposes. And then probably the thing we'll have the most, that I think will get the most use, is we're building a world-class go-kart facility that'll also be open to the public. So that's going to be a pretty unique thing. I think where we're located will be a huge draw. So we're excited about that. Lodge, aviation hangar. I think he sent you the wrong packet. Sorry. This is one that's old and we didn't use. So I'll try to go off script here because, so I know what to say now. Sorry about that. I should have looked at it beforehand, but I've been late. So we will do a lodge, meaning hotel, more boutique style, public facing, nice restaurant, that type of stuff. Aviation hangars. One of the core reasons for choosing the location that we chose was the proximity to the airport. So the goal being that a good bit of our clientele be individuals that have private aircraft that come in, land, use the facility, go around town, spend money, go bass fishing, enjoy the community, and then get in their stuff and get out. So I don't mean that in a mean way, but we like what we have here. So yeah, I think we sent you the wrong one. So next, is there? Those are more okay. So pretty clean. 480 acres, so we're 440 on the main site. We have an additional 40 across the street, which the go-kart track will go on. When we first acquired this piece of property, we looked at it and said, holy smokes, what are we gonna do with all this land? And then we realized we need more. So we have acquired 40 across the street and have moved the go-kart track over there within the last few months. One of the unique things about the project, typically these projects are done as country club type racetracks, so more of a street car, not a lot of focus or emphasis on fast straightaways, big brake zones. They get to be pretty tight and I don't want to say go-kartish, but condensed. What we've done is designed a property or track that is built more on training professionals. But also having the runoff room where an individual can drive a car to limits, make a mistake, and not pay the consequences of wrecking a car. So I'm unaware of anybody else looking in, designing a track purpose-built that way. We've been very, very fortunate that General Motors has stepped up and given us full engineering support for the project. It's been in top secret, but we've had it in simulation for about 6 months now, meaning that we as well as some other professional drivers have it on our driving simulator and have been driving it and modifying the track now for 6 or 8 months. What very few people know is we just got the final, we sent it to GM for their final approval last week, and it came back with 3 minute additions, not even changes. So I am excited that we may make our accelerated insane timeline that we're working on. So, but with that is a 4,000 foot straightaway, which means cars, you're at that point, you're at a professional level racetrack. You're at FIA grade 2, you're 100 and the right car, 170, 180 miles an hour. If you remove the bus stops in some areas that will do slow cars down, and you want to use it for a true testing facility. We'll do 300 total units, 25 of which will be elite, on pit road, roll your garage door up, push your car out and go. The other 275 are nicely placed around that. Clubhouse, typical clubhouse type situations, and then eventually in a later phase we'd like to build a true motorsports museum, and so that'll come down the pipe. Okay. So what the main take out of this slide for me is, when we started looking at it, there's a couple things that really and it really guided us in this project, and one was when I was racing. When you race professionally and you live in the Charlotte area, you're wired to always be there, to always train, to always work, to be better, and you have a hard time disconnecting because you feel like you're just letting yourself and your team down, and that's a pretty common thing. On the other side of that, though, is you can burn yourself out and then go do a lot of dumb things after drinking some Red Bull and vodkas that are not good for your career because you burnt yourself out. So the big thing we said from day one is we're going to build this thing with a culture, and I think it's what this community is so great about. Is it's a welcoming community. It's great, down-to-earth, hard-working people. It's a place that I feel like when I was in that situation in my career, that I could go to, train, and then still decompress, become normal. And I truly believe that we'll see not only that start to happen with this General Motors relationship, but we'll see those guys coming down and bass fishing and using the community and genuinely falling in love with this community that we know. So that's kind of the main, that this is an original sales slide, it looks like to me, is what we sent you, and that is in there for that reason, for two reasons, to kind of state, here's what we're doing. If you don't fit, sorry, right? Like, we're who we are here, this is the community we love, and so that's what that slide, the take of that slide is. All stuff we know, how great where we live. Proximity to the golf course, everybody knows how great this area is. So I think that's, I apologize, I did not know we sent you a sales slide instead of another slide, but again, the river, I think that's something that we all know and love, but most people haven't taken advantage of it and got to experience it. So we're hoping that becomes something that's utilized a lot. So I think everybody kind of knows I think so. Obviously, the airport, Highway 100, 309C. This is a placeholder of a racetrack because the racetrack is somewhat proprietary, but it is, in some regards, very similar to what it's going to build. The basics are, but this would be the 4,000-foot straightaway. Some of the neat things we were able to build into it with the shape of the project. So to give you a scale, this from this point to this point is 1 mile long. So that's how long the property is, and why we're able to utilize it the way we are. But one of the big areas that we find speed as drivers is in the brake zones. The problem is you're at 170 miles an hour and you have to get down to 40 miles an hour. The driver that can condense the brake zone the most finds massive gains, both short term in the race, but also long term, because you actually, believe it or not, use less brake by shortening the distance. So kind of this is real where you see this is actually current, but this will have a lot of asphalt runoff into a rock area. So somebody can come here and learn safely how to do that technique. The problem is when you get to that technique, you're maximizing brakes, and with that, if you, what we call wheel hop, means the rear tires start bouncing, you get out of control and you wreck. So that's probably one of my most proud things about the whole facility, because that is a very expensive, hard thing to train a driver and do, and one of the things we've been able to do. You can see the go-kart track here. This is actually the actual design of the go-kart track. We'll probably change a little bit on it, but it's a final design. It's moving over here now. So these are the clubhouse, the garages, and the clubhouse is about right. That's the clubhouse right there. I think that's probably all the high points of it. So nope, I think I kind of covered everything, enough for questions at least. So proximity to the airport. This is tailored to an individual, and I can probably about tell you who this one was tailored to. Through our racing careers, we've met certain individuals that we want in the project early due to their culture and who they are and how they operate and act. And so, very welcoming, very well off, but you'd never guess what type of individual. So that's what this was tailored to. Hey, you can fly your plane here and do this. So phasing, and this is pretty much correct. So the only thing that's changed in the last 2 months is we're probably going to flip-flop these two phases. So this is phase one. This is the southern portion of the project, the main core track. These that you see here are what we call day garages. They're just open air shade, basically. But this is phase one. The whole track is approved, done, simulation finalized with GM, but this will be phase one that we'll start on pretty quickly. I don't want to give a date because then I'll be a liar if I told you, probably, but it's going to be quick, I hope. We'll then go into phase two. This will now become phase two. We're going to phase two with the rest of the track. My intent and the indications are looking that we'll build phase one and phase two simultaneously. Phase three would be the oval. If anybody in racing knows oval tracks, this track is going to mimic a lot of our favorite oval track, and that's Indianapolis Raceway Park, which is where Jeff Gordon made his career, and really the most fun oval track any of us go to, most challenging. Again, based on training, so difficulty's high. Getting car track across the street, hotel lodge is here. All right, I think I covered everything. Okay, yeah, so I've covered all of that. So this is just showing the gentleman, traditionally these kind of facilities are built where you have one track and one group can run and that's it, and it can get clogged up, it can get boring. We've designed it in the way that it can split into 3 different tracks. We actually have another layer above this now that we've come up with a way to split it 4 times and be very efficient. But so theoretically, members can be running on here, and this will be paved pretty well, but members can be running on here, and Gator can be here with his squad cars training. This area right here, we've kept it very quiet, but this is actually designed as a street course. So we race street races, which obviously you can't shut cities down to train, and it's also a hard thing for our law enforcement to train. But this is a true street course that we've built. Scans and curbing and slopes will be again, we have really phenomenal resources for engineering. So that is probably one of the neatest things I've never seen a facility built that way. So we're excited about that, both on our training side and utilization for law enforcement. So, all right, I think I covered everything there. This is him just showing, when they built this, they were just showing off some of the people we worked with. But okay, I think we covered all that. Professional karting track, I covered that. And this is dated, it was at 3.2 miles, but we've worked it into a 3.6 mile track now. So we've been able to make it actually bigger and better than we originally thought. Next one, please. Next one, please. What in the This is a rendering. We just did our final visioning session about 2 weeks ago. It will not look like this. Has some similarities of that, but it will not look like that. What you'll see is we're gonna maintain the old Florida feel. So I don't know how to explain the architecture of the facility, but it'll be old Florida with technology merged together. I don't know how you, Steve, would explain it, but I'm pretty excited about the meetings we just had, and we should have final stuff back from the architect shortly on the buildings. Okay, next. I'll give you guys one thing, and I'm going to get hung for this because Larry may or may not know this, and JR may or may not know this, and I'm not promising this, but we are in discussions right now of working on giving up some land for a fire EMS station out here. And we're back and forth whether it's going to be here or here, but that's kind of where we're at. That's the other thing that, I don't know if you that's very new internal thing. So I'm excited about it. I think it's again, it's a legacy project for my dad. So he's got a little swagger about him right now of coming back home. So I think we're going to try to have some friends build that. Because that didn't make it in our budget, and I'm pretty sure it's not yours, so we're working on some friends to build that as the goal. That's why I'm not promising anything, but indications are good at this point. So I'll probably get in trouble for telling that, but whatever. I live in trouble. Yeah, I'm always in trouble. So, what'd you say? Wake up and tell them every morning you're sorry? Where are you at? That was my advice earlier. I got earlier. Wake up and tell my wife every morning I'm sorry. Okay, again, this was for this particular individual. They sent the wrong one, and I apologize again. This was just ideas for actually it's for his wife's thought process, but okay. Again, just placeholders. It won't really look that way. It'll look more kind of lodges, old Florida feel. The hotel will. Lots of pictures of the track, huh? I think we've gone through all this now. Yeah. Okay. So again, so we did. So a couple of the neatest things that have happened to this project, and everybody keeps asking, like, when's it going to be done, or when are you going to start, when are you going to do this? In all reality, our plan for permitting being done, etc., it was almost a year from now when we looked at this, and some really neat things happened. We went to the Planning and Zoning Commission, and I was nervous, sweating bullets, because we took a big leap as a family, and we owned the property, we had the idea, and we had no entitlements. So we went to Planning and Zoning. Of that, I knew no one on it, had spoken to no one, and was like, oh boy, I hope this goes well. And it not only went well, but it was extremely humbling because we had some people, one of which is in this room, that stepped up on our behalf as a community that came, one in this room, and I love her to death, came to oppose us, and then after listening and meeting and spending time talking about it, stood up, and which was a very brave thing to do, and changed and really helped push this thing over the edge. But with that, set momentum to get this thing pushed along at a very great pace. We're ahead of schedule by almost a year right now. So that put us on a lot of pressure on us because we have the hardest part done. And so we've been very fortunate, and Q3 is one of our sponsors on the race side, is a huge believer in driver development. they're a small sponsor on the race side, but there's somebody that I could always go to if there was a kid that I felt like deserved an opportunity. I could go to them and say, hey, we don't have enough budget for this kid, can you help? And they would step up and help. And so I brought Nick to town, the owner, and he's from Europe, lives in Boston, largest developer in Miami, or architecture, so doesn't get to spend much time around this type of community, and I brought him to town and he fell in love. And to the point of he wants to do a lot more here, but with that, he put full resources behind the project without me even asking, and it's been huge because it's helped accelerate the timeline a lot. Rimrock, same thing. They're a very sizable developer out of Lake City. Do stuff with the Jaguars. They were a longtime sponsor of mine. 10 years ago, I brought the owner, Micah, knows the community well, but brought him in and showed him the project, and he handed his full resources of his team over. And then a lot of you know Rob Matthews from Matthews Design Group, which is the civil. All these things are typically what either slow a project way down or kill it. And we've had so much support, both locally and with these groups, that again, we're working 7 days a week right now just to get caught up, which is a phenomenal thing. So this was supposed to be more of a, hey, here's who's involved for comfort, but for me, this is here's who's involved because it is actually legitimizing, and we're moving forward at a rapid pace. So questions? I figured there'd be lots of them, and I probably took longer than I should have been, but yes, ma'am.
Space it back here so we have your camera.
Oh.
We got microphones.
I forgot I would have told myself with my bad episode of Charlotte. I had none about camera.
All right, who has a question?
So I'm sitting here amazed when you tell me that 15-year-old just won a race, and he just turned 15. So obviously he's driving one of these gazillion-dollar machines when he can't even go get a learner's permit.
So
What is, how young do you start these kids?
my kids, I keep them away from racing. But actually my 11-year-old just went to the local go-kart track for the first time because Tristan is his name, the 15-year-old, his younger sister and my daughter become best friends, and the dad took her go-karting and she won, and now I'm not happy. Because I called my wife and told her we're basically not ever going to be able to retire now, but after that. But so Tristan McKee is his name. General Motors sent him to me. We did a big gym test for General Motors in Sebring, Florida. Rented the track, bunch of high-level drivers, and it was for us to help them with some skill sets. And at the last minute they called and said, hey, we got this 13-and-a-half-year-old kid. We think he's really good. Do you think you could fit him in the car? I don't know, but I mean, let me call the lawyer first off, right? Like, what's the liability of this? And, so obviously all the liability things signed. We put the kid in the car and it was phenomenal. You'd have thought he was a 20-year veteran, didn't set a track record, but just fast, got better. By the end of the 2 days, was the fastest driver there at 13 and a half years old. So, and these were good drivers, really good drivers. So GM calls and they're like, what do you think? I'm like, I don't know what to tell you guys now. I don't know how you found the kid. I do know how I found him. There's a gentleman, and I could go on for hours about the General Motors driver development program because it's everything I needed in my life to not screw my career up. But I eat a lot of crow every day because it's everything my dad tried to tell me. But when you're younger, your dad's the dumbest guy you know. But you get older and your dad becomes the smartest person, I live that daily right now. But there's a gentleman, and I never thought in a million years I'd be doing what I'm doing. I was, for a lot of years, a very selfish, self-involved individual that it wasn't going to help my racing career. I didn't have time for you. And it wasn't personal, it was just I'm on a mission. And this gentleman by the name of Lauren Rainier, he found Davey Allison, Tony Stewart, Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Larson, Tristan McKinney, all these names. I was his one mistake. He's who found me, got me my career started up there, and my extracurricular activities in my mouth kept me out of where I should have been, but you live and you learn. But so Lauren Rainier travels the country, watches stuff, he finds, I don't know how he does it, but he finds these talents that are phenoms, and we've got, Tristan's moved on, we've got she just turned 18, an 18-year-old female. I love her to death. Lainey Bice, she's becoming like a daughter to me. Best female sports ever seen, hands down. Absolutely hands down, she will be the best female sports ever seen. Lauren found her, she's in the GM program. We've got another kid right now that same thing, they sent, I was out in Texas and they said, hey, we got this kid, will you just throw him in and see what you think? And I'm like, man, this kid's pretty special. Comes from very, very meager means. He's 18 now, he's Mexican American and born without ears. So he cannot hear. He's got a thing that he plugs in that he can hear you, read flips. But we put him in for a race and we haven't lost a race in 5 races with him. Out of this world good, most humble human being. So it makes my life a lot of fun because we get all the best kids and then they go on to the next level. Dale Jr.'s protege last year, Carson Quapple, Sam Mary. We are so lucky in what we get. But that's the 13 and a half year old. I don't know. I don't know that we'll ever see that again. So don't ask me how he does it. But we do give him a hard time right now because he just turned 15, still doesn't have his learner's permit, so when he turns 16, he still won't be able to drive. So, yes, yep, so.
Tim, go ahead.
How big a footprint for a maintenance facility? How many people do you figure will be employed, and are you gonna get the college to teach people how to fix cars?
So you either know a lot or you're pretty sharp, or both. So we are in initial discussions with President Pickens on how to integrate the college in. It's that for us would be phenomenal. We've become more of a program than just trains drivers. We just sent our last year engineer. He came to us with a college degree, spent 4 years with us. We just helped him. I didn't even have to help him. He got himself a job in the NASCAR world as an engineer. He spent 1 week at the NASCAR Xfinity or O'Reilly level before he got pulled up, and he's within 2 months of being there, he's the number 2 engineer on Kyle Busch's car, the Cup car. So that's become something, and he's like a little brother. That's become something. To the point earlier, we've found a lot of enjoyment in helping people, and it's I didn't know I'd ever have that in me, but we have talked to President Pickens. He viewed a school that does similar stuff, and we are discussing that. I don't know the timeline, and I don't know that we're putting a lot of pressure on ourselves right now, because it's absolutely phase 1, step 1. We do have competition. So California's trying to build one right now and has a guy behind it that's worth $54 billion. So that's gonna be a tough road to hoe. Tennessee's got one, both of which are taking our stuff and trying to, anyway, it's competitive. So right now we're 100% focused on track on the ground. Let's win this part of it, but that is happening. Yes, sir.
Will there be any races for spectators to come out to watch? And if so, how many can you count?
So a couple things that we've done. So the go-kart track, absolutely. We also want to do, and we don't know this business model yet, so we're looking into it, but we have some really strong ties into the country music scene. We trained a guy that owns a record label, and but we want to do a music venue, a small one, for kind of more intimate shows. that'll be public facing. And then from the race side, we're building a facility to be able to do it. We've talked about it. I don't see it coming in the near future. And I think if we do it, the first one will be about 2 years ago, we did a charity race where some of our drivers are well off, or we did 2 years ago where somebody could pay to drive with our drivers. So it was a 2-driver race, and it was a pro-am race. And it ended up having Kenny Schrader show up, and Greg Biffle, and all these old friends show up. It was this phenomenal, fun weekend for the fans and everybody racing. So that's selfishly pretty high on my radar screen, and we've talked about that. So we're building the ability to do that. Again, I keep saying we're cart in front of the horse because everything has so much momentum right now that we haven't gotten to that point, but selfishly I want to pretty bad. It was pretty cool. Yes, sir.
Do you foresee that the go-kart track might be a feeder program into developing a local crop of drivers for the future?
I hope so. I think part of this is when I moved to Charlotte, I never felt like we, being Florida racers, got enough credit for how good of racers come from here. And I don't, that's probably me, just a chip on my shoulder, I don't know. But there's absolutely a ton of phenomenal racers that I grew up racing with that just didn't get lucky like I didn't get a chance. And so if by having manufacturers here, and the neat thing about General Motors is they haven't said it's just gonna be them. They're insinuating they're gonna do some stuff, and unfortunately it's a build it and they will come situation. So we're risky in some regards. I don't think so, but they've also insinuated making some introductions into some other manufacturers. So if we can create that, then hell yeah, that'd be the neatest thing ever for me. If we can train the engineers and have the drivers and to become the place that the best in the world go, and there's a crop of people here that this community is such a good hands-on community that understands that type of stuff, that it's a secret hidden thing in my mind. So I really do hope. So, any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
So the long track that you were talking about, where does that face? Is it 309C? Is that the side it's going to be on?
It faces the runway.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. So.
Can you give us some figures? Can you tell us what's going to be the financial impact on the community? What's the cost of phase 1 versus phase 2? What's the
Numbers I don't prefer to share because
That's
they're
fine.
earth-shattering to me. I mean, for me to talk these kind of numbers is insane, but and some of the stuff's going to get refined and go up or down, but phase 1 is at 53 million budget right now, and like I said, it can adjust and shift, and that we may scale it a little bit, a lot, and so lucky that we are. Obviously, there's not $53 million sitting in the bank waiting to go, but we've been very lucky in what's transpired and have a lot of really good things moving forward. So, from the economic impact to the community, we have not run a true economic study, and I don't know that anybody could truly run it, because the types of individuals and the friends that we're trying to bring into this, I've seen them buy a car just because they want to on the side of the road. I don't know how you quantify that. I've seen weird things because they can, and so our hope is that they do, right? Any other questions?
All right, well,
And again, I apologize for the wrong presentation. That's on me. Thank you, Brad.
Thank you, Scott, so much. Appreciate it. All right, so you guys continue to watch your newspaper, and listen out for the county commissioners also have a great newsletter, and so you should, if you don't subscribe to it, please do, and if you don't know where to find it, go on their website or go to our newsletter, and you can find information, and they always put information in there about what's happening in the county as well, so that's great. So moving on, we have a second guest speaker tonight. I was lucky enough to have Les Sims, who, by the way, couldn't be here tonight. His daughter, Leslie, is graduating from law school at the University of Florida today. So they're there at the graduation, or he would have been here. He made arrangements for us to have a candidate for governor, Bobby Williams, join us tonight to tell us about his campaign and why we're going to be voting for him. Come on up. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Microphone's a little tricky. Obviously, Bobby Williams is running for Florida governor. We're going to switch from one racetrack to the next. Everywhere I go, we always do two things. We say a pledge and we say a prayer. And it's one nation under what? We got to get God back in government. We got to get God back in schools. Not only with our children, but we see it with our legislation, our politicians. They've lost the moral compass. And as I cross this state, I think of Matthew 7:16, is you'll know them by their fruit. I don't want to be a politician. I'm not a politician. Don't call me a politician, because if you think of a politician, you think of somebody who's going to tell you what you want to hear, lie to you, cheat, steal to get what they want, right? Right. And that's the problem for too long. For too long, we vote against the least of two evils. So until we get godly men and women in these seats, really, why should we expect anything different? Because I'm just as guilty as everybody else. You know, I'm going to stay home, raise my family, do what I want to do. That gentleman was saying. You know, I think we all lived that same life somewhere. You know, for me, I was 32 years agnostic atheist, didn't believe in God. My mother was 14 when she had my brother, 17 when she had me, very poverty, didn't have nothing. She came from a very alcoholism family, very abusive family. And so we were raised not in church, didn't go to church, didn't believe in God. And 25, you know, I was chasing the American dream. Started a business, got very successful at it, got married, had a little girl, living for me. But at 32, I had an encounter with Jesus that radically changed my life. And I came home from a hunting trip and started going to church. And the sad thing is, for the next 4 to 5 years going to church, I learned what not to do. They sit in the pew. They tell you about Jesus, but they don't do nothing. So I got tired of that. I was just yesterday, and we were in St. Augustine for the Women's Center. I spoke there about 5 minutes, and they were raising money for, stop abortion and get these ladies where they need to be, But they've been taught wrong, just like I was taught wrong. But until you're taught right and see right, until we go and do something, nothing ever changes. So in 2016, I started a ministry called the Freedom Tour, Food Disaster Relief. I started going to the project, started going to the worst of worst, started going to the broken, started going down to the trailer parks, the low-income hotels, started praying for these people, loving on these people, feeding these people, and blessing these people. One after another, we've seen life change and life touched and life changed. So when I say to know them by their fruit, if you truly want to know what a fruit is, you put pressure on it, you cut it open. So in 2020, when COVID hit, while most people were social distance, masking, shut down, I did none of that. Instead, we went out in the parking lot of the church and started feeding 1,500 people a day. Started blessing people, loving on people, praying for people. Started partnering with other churches, ministries. Since COVID to now, we moved over 100 million pounds of product. If you had to buy, that's 350 million gift in kind. From hurricanes to schools to low-income families, whatever we can do to bring hope. That's all we got at the end of the day, is hope. Without hope, you got nothing. A lot of people sit in prayer for a miracle. They pray for God to show up. I was talking to these young ladies over here just a minute ago, and she's like, till Jesus comes back. I said, well, he told us to occupy till he comes. We're the answer. We're the prayer people are looking for. But if we don't go and show up, what do we do? So I'm not a politician. People go, wow, what's your qualifications? Well, from COVID to hurricanes, I worked with 500 different agencies and ministries. From churches to nonprofits to United Ways to public schools, school boards, city officials, county officials, mayors, sheriff's departments, every bit of it. We were getting stuff during COVID other organizations weren't getting. Your own government wasn't getting. I was sending stuff to Live Oak, Lake Butler Prison, jails all across this state because they couldn't get the hand sanitizer, the wipes, the face mask. I didn't want it, but I was getting it for free. It was able to open a door for me to be a blessing. And it would show what I was willing to do. And we did all that without any money. As a little poor boy, which obviously I did start doing well for myself, my own personal finances, and people started getting involved in that kind of stuff. It wasn't until 2023, which 3 years after COVID, that our county, obviously you got a bunch of ARP funds and COVID money come out, and they ended up giving us $1 million to continue the work we were doing. We went from a little bitty old church in one of the worst places in Polk County to taking over a Sears building during the middle of COVID, 130,000 square foot, that we filled up in a couple days, in a couple weeks. And we continue to do that, and I continue to still do that. Every month we average about 1 million pounds of product a month. Some of it goes to teachers, some of it goes to schools, some of it goes to different charities, some of it goes to women's centers. We get diapers, anything you can think of. There's so much corporate waste in this world that we found a niche to get it and just put it in the hands it needs to be. So 3 years ago, the Lord said, I want you to run for governor. I'm like, I'm good. Why? Because we see the corruption, we see the fraud, we see the waste. It's in our face every day. Literally, they tell us everything we need to know. And what can we do about it? Nothing. It's no longer we the people. It's we the lobbyists and we the big corporations. They're the ones that run the states, they're the ones that run their nation. And the reason why is because till we get godly men and women in these seats, it's not going to change. So part of my job as I travel around running for governor is not only tell about me running for governor, it's convict people. Because I don't want to be a politician, don't want to do it, but if we don't do it, who does? We'll see where that's got us. So some of you might need to run for city commission, some of you may need to run for county commissioner, some of y'all may need to run for mayor. And you say, I don't have time. Well, I've got 5 jobs. For 25 years, I run an electrical low voltage communications company. Actually, we do a lot with Florida Southern College there in Macon. We wire for network cabling, fiber optics. They build a lot of buildings they've been good to me the last 15 years. They build about 3 buildings a year, so we get to wire them and network them and do all the underground, which had me the ability to fund the gospel and what we do every day. Then I pastored a Freedom Church. 2016, I started a Freedom Tour. 2 years later, the Lord said, I want you to start a church, a Freedom Church. And he said, my people are perishing for the lack of knowledge. So I pastor a church every week. I run the Freedom Tour. We average, like I said, 1 million pounds a month. Sometimes that's 1 semi a day, sometimes that could be 10 semis a day. And I logistically pull stuff from around the nation. My cost is logistics, shipping. I get it for free, but I gotta get it from point A to point B. So I'm dealing with your Pepsi Colas, I'm dealing with your Coca-Colas, I'm dealing with your Walgreens, I'm dealing with corporate America every day. So I'm not only dealing with the homeless, the less fortunate, to the teacher, to the sheriff's officer, to the city commissioner, mayor, I'm dealing with corporations too, every bit of it. And it's just to be a blessing to our community. Then, obviously number 4, running for governor. Pretty much every day we're somewhere across the state. Like I said, last night we were over in St. Augustine, in the Golf Village. Tonight I'm here. Tomorrow night we're back in Winter Haven. I'm 3rd generation Polk County. We're back in Winter Haven. Saturday I'm at Fort Charlotte Fairgrounds. Sunday we're in Steenahatchee. Every day we're always somewhere. So not only am I running for godly conviction, but I think a lot of y'all here agree with me on this. Florida's full. How many of y'all agree with that one? I like what he said. He said, we want you to come in and spend your money, but we want you to leave too. And that's what Florida is. They're a tourist capital of the world. We need to stay that. People come here, but they enjoy Florida. But what's going to happen is these housing developments come in and left and right. We're not going to have Florida anymore. It's going to be to New York. It's going to be to Miami. It's going to be to Jacksonville. It's going to beat that. And we're no longer going to have the beautiful Florida. So my message across the state is, when's enough enough? Florida's full. Don't New York my Florida. Because we're going to lose it one day. And I use the Everglades as a perfect example. We watch politicians and big corporations destroy the Everglades. And they made millions, if not billions, destroying it. Now, they're all about restoring it, which I'm about that too. But who's paying for it? Me and you. $5 billion was the budget last year to restore the Everglades. If we keep allowing these developers to destroy Florida, we're going to have to pay to fix it. Until you get godly men and women in these seats, why would it change? I watched my business go from 7 figures down to last year, I let it go to less than $280,000. Why? Making money wasn't important. It was more important to touch people and change people's lives. The community we're in, my ministry's in, we watched crime rate go from one of the worst in the county to almost 0 crime rate today. When I moved in there was nothing to find 10 to 20 needles in a parking lot. Now we find 0. Somebody making a difference. You know, right now, we're so full right now, they won't admit it, they're trying to take your toilet water and turn it into tap water. They're taking your sanitation water, they're treating it, they're telling you it's okay. How many of y'all trust your government? How many of y'all trust doctors and scientists anymore? You can't. It's the reason why you know them by their fruit is so important. But they're telling you they're treating this water, they're pumping it back into your rivers and your lower aquifers. Then it's coming up and you're going to drink it. At what point do we become Aaron Brockovich? You see cancer on the rise, sickness on the rise, disease on the rise right now. And it's from all the chemicals and stuff they're putting in everything we do. You know, we got to have somebody to stand up to this kind of stuff. I'm against property tax because I use this as a perfect example. I'm going to pick on you a little bit. If you got a spoiled rotten kid who has access to mommy and daddy's credit card, will only ever quit spending? Never will. I don't know you. I'm just using your story to make fun of me. I got to make fun of somebody. But I use that example everywhere. It's him or whoever. If you got a spoiled rotten kid who has access to mom and daddy's credit card, when will they ever quit spending? Never will. Until it runs out. So until you take this money away from these city county officials, they'll never quit spending. Their budget keeps going, keeps rising and rising. I think from 2020 to now, we've watched property tax almost quadruple, if not 5 times. What did you gain out of that? You gained nothing. And that's the number one reason. Not really the number one reason, but they're probably equal. The number one reason is, what gives the state, the government, a right to take away your property? Just because maybe you're in a financial situation. I deal with widows and less fortunate, single moms, single dads all the time. And they get to a point where they can't pay taxes in 3 years, all of a sudden they lose a house they've been paid for 15, 20, 30 years. How is that right? We got to make Florida affordable. And the way you're going to make it affordable is, number one, you got to do property tax. Number 2, electric bills. Whether you know this or not, your governor appoints the board of utilities. Every time these electrical companies go to that board over the past 50 years, you know how many times they've been told no for price increases? 0. Why? Look at their donors. Look who's donating to them. Duke Energy, TECO, FPL, all these are donating millions and millions of dollars to these campaigns. Because no longer do you have candidates being voted in. They're really being bought in. You know, when's enough? We got to get PACs out of Florida. You know, right now these PACs are donating millions and millions of dollars to be voted. How's that fair? You got guys, good, godly men and women who want to run, and there's really not a level playing field outside of social media. If we didn't have social media, I wouldn't be standing here today. The reason why most people know me is social media is free. We're not raising the big bucks. We're going to cities and towns and the small mom and pops, all this. You may get $20 here, $50 here. Maybe you might get a couple give you $3,000. Because that's the max you can do per entity. But these guys create PACs. And they get 5 million here, 5 million there, 2 million here. And they want AI data centers here. I'm against AI data centers. Because number one, it's taking away your jobs. They tell you AI is the future. For who? The billionaires? So they can make more money and just, we have no jobs. How do we survive? You see that right now in your self-checkouts and everything else going, surveillance. They're trying to get everything where now your cameras can write you tickets. So when are we going to get to a point with less police officers, less sheriffs? Which I'm about less government. But people got to have jobs. They got to feed their families. These developers are coming in, buying everything that's cheap land for cheap, and they're just bulldozing it over, then creating lots of 8 to 10 per acre. Then they turn that value from $35,000 an acre to $350,000 an acre. It's making it unaffordable. And when I say do not New York by Florida, it ain't just their ways and their values they're bringing here. It's they're buying people out. They're monopolizing everything. They're buying up our agricultural land. Whether you know this or not, you don't have 4 meat packers in your nation right now. 3 of them are foreign owned. You want to talk about national threat? It ain't Iran, it ain't Cuba. It's China and foreign companies buying up all our food. And anytime they cut that off, what do we have? We got to get back to Florida first and Florida only. We got to get foreign influence out of Florida and get it back where it's we the people. To where we're growing our own food, we're feeding our families, we're doing what needs to be done. Until you get a governor, it's going to start with a governor. Because for too long they tell us that we win in the ballot box. Have we won the ballot box? Do you have a voice? I deal with city and county commissioners. Everywhere I go, these rooms, city and county commissioners and mayors come up to me, and they're frustrated. They go to Tallahassee. They ignore them. They tell them, start a meeting, schedule a meeting. They schedule a meeting for 3 to 4 weeks out. 2 or 3 days before, they cancel meetings. We don't have time with you. But they sit there and watch lobbyists after lobbyists go in their office to get what they need. It's no longer we the people. We got to get back to we the people. And that's the reason why it's so important to look at these guys. What is their fruit? Why are they doing it? A lot of people ask the question, we don't see you on the polls, or we don't see you on mainstream media. Well, the number one reason is mainstream media is bought. We know that. These big candidates buy these polls. Polls are bought and paid for. I can buy, if I had the money, you can buy and do a poll. They run about 15, 20,000. I don't want to waste my money if I had that. But these guys have millions of dollars and they can buy a poll and they won't put me in it. Just to think, oh, he don't have a chance. But everywhere I go, I've been to 70 different cities and different counties throughout the state since January 1st. And everywhere I go, people says, you're a breath of fresh air. You're what we need in government. Because people are tired. They're tired of not having a voice. They're tired of not seeing Florida rape and pillage. They're tired. But until we get godly men in these seats, why should we expect change? So Bobby Williams, Florida Governor, thank y'all. Any questions and answers?
We can take a couple of questions.
Couple questions.
Yeah.
Anybody got questions? I'll try to answer most if I can when I speak, so you don't have questions. Yes, sir.
I understand that the property tax dilemma. How do you propose rural counties like ours to be able to continue to provide the services we're currently providing with that off of income?
Yes, sir. So your biggest expense is every county's biggest expense is sheriff and your schools. And as a city commissioner, as a county commissioner, you have zero say in that. The only say you have is approve their budget. So why are you even paying for it? Make the state pay for it. There's enough waste and fraud in our state right now to pay for it. I can go through the governor's budget right now and I can pull out hundreds of millions of dollars that just shouldn't go to places. I use a perfect example. Everybody loves, I'm against illegal immigration, but everybody who hurrays over Alligator Alcatraz. They're spending $1 million a day. Who's making that money? You're telling me a hurricane facility with tents and porta-johns is costing $1 million and feed maybe 100 people $1 million a day? Come on, people. You know what I'm saying? That's what we're tired of. We're tired of wasting fraud and the money. There's plenty of it out there. And that's just one of many examples. Last year he gave $185 to cancer research. They need any more money? You know what I'm saying? There's just so much there that can be done to help the rural counties. The big counties take care of themselves because they have the sales tax and that. But we will take it from state and state funds is my goal. Yes, sir.
What are your feelings about clemency?
As in helping people get back their rights? Yeah, no, 100%. I believe, you know, if you didn't hear my story is the story of Jesus Christ. You know what I'm saying? It's about redemption. So you got to get, to me, I like to make prison and jail systems, they got to get back to redeeming systems. You know what I'm saying? They're changing people's lives. You know, not just throw them in there behind bars or whatever. We got to get the gospel in these places, that kind of stuff. And we got to get where people have second chances. They're getting out of, it's no different his story or mine. A lot of times the only difference in my story and their story is some people had parents, some people didn't. Some people had good teachings and some didn't. Some of us listened to our dads and some of us didn't. And you shouldn't, just because you do something stupid, you shouldn't have to pay for that the rest of your life. We got to help these individuals. I deal with that all the time. We deal with Refuge on the Ridge. They're a 10-month program out of Lake Wells right next to us. We help them feed them and do programs with them. And we watch these guys, and I've watched a lot of them, prostitutes, drug addicts, change their lives. So we got to give them, there's got to be a second chance. So 100%, I support, we got to support back to redemption qualities of Jesus and everything.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. So that you all know, we have up at the front, when you came in, we have signs and materials for candidates. So Bobby has left some of his signs information, so if you're interested, take some on your way out. There's also some other signs for other candidates up there as well. So we're going to wrap up pretty quick here, but what I wanted to do is a couple of other things. On the table were some guides. Charles's office put these together. I saw them when we were at the fair. They're wonderful pieces. I put a few on each table. If you would like one and there's not extra one on your table, we do have some up here on the table for the name tags. This piece is an elected officials guide. It tells you all our elected officials in the state currently and who they represent, what area they represent, and when they come up for re-election. This is a wonderful piece, Charles. Thank you for doing that for us. And then here's a voter's guide. Everybody's always trying to okay, so when's the deadline for this? When do you have to register? What's the deadline to get petitions in? Charles has this voter's guide that has some of those details. And we're actually using this in our newsletter so we can put some information out. So a great piece, Charles. Thank you so much for doing that for us. We also have some information and updates from the REC that I want Larry to come and share with us what's happening at the REC, some exciting things.
Well, thank you, Rhonda. Those of you who attended the May 1 dinner, Lincoln Day dinner, great time we had. I'm just going to give you some really rough numbers. Raised over $17,000. Cost us about $5 to put us on. And we profited 12, which needed to go into our bank account because we are fixing to open up our headquarters. It's right down the road here in the Sherman William Plaza, right across from Publix, the furthest building on the south. So we'll be opening that very, very soon. We need to get the carpets cleaned and some other stuff. So we're going to be looking at that tonight. The next big thing is the full moon barbecue, right? You've seen that. All state, regional, and local candidates will be there. This will be a time for you to go meet your candidate, support your candidate, grab bumper stickers and trinkets from your candidate, and move in that direction. The tickets, if you want to help me sell, 5 tickets over here, just put your name down, take them with you, you can do that. But we greatly appreciate it. We're trying to pre-sell about 250 tickets before we get to the event. And yes, I'll be cooking the barbecue, so you'll be glad that it's going to be a good meal happening here in Putnam County. Thank you very much, right there in the back. But we did have a great time. We are working very diligently with the club, and a lot of you are also in the REC. So it's been a very, very good time. We crawled a long way, but we're walking now. We're fixing to take off running, and elections are just right around the corner. So please come see me if you want to help sell tickets, take them home, and we'd love to have you be a part, okay? Hey, tickets are 5 to a pack, not 4 to a pack, okay? Not 7, because I had a lady say, can I get 4? No, they're 5 to a pack. You can take them and try to sell them. If you can't, bring them back, and we'll be glad to do that. Okay, thank you, Rhonda.
So the good thing about this, as a club, we have 2 roles that we're going to play with the full moon barbecue. One is that we will be doing the raffle, and the money that we collect in from the raffle will be the club's to keep for our coffers and our needs. The other will be that we will be set up and taking tickets or selling tickets at the event and then taking in tickets for the dinner. The tickets are going to be $12 per person for a ticket. $10 of that will go to the REC to cover the cost of the meal and then be a profit for them. The $2 is profit for us for the club. So please help to sell tickets if you can, and know that part of the profits are going to come here to the club. So we so appreciate that, Larry. The other is, I want to quickly introduce Matthew Mitchell. So Matthew, wave your arms. I don't know if you all recognize young Matthew. I think I've known Matthew for since the DeSantis campaign, maybe even just before that. So he was working on the DeSantis campaign. He's from the Orange Park area, isn't it, Matthew? Yes. And so he is also working now with Ashley Moody's campaign. So we have some information. Oh, okay. And then we also have Noel. Where's Noel? With Byron Donald's campaign is here. And Noel, where are you from?
Duval County.
Duval County. So they will be joining us periodically as the campaigns ramp up and having information. So I think, did you bring some Byron Donald information with you as well today?
I did not.
You did not, but you will the next meeting. Matthew has some information up here. There's a QR code. Ashley Moody's campaign is looking for some volunteers and also looking for some people who will be interested, like some females group that she's putting together, some veterans. When we did the veterans event last few weeks ago at the fairgrounds, we had a number of people sign up, so that was really great. And so we're going to push forward with Ashley Moody. So we'll look forward to seeing you both in the coming months and for you to have information at our headquarters. So if you all can volunteer, once we get the headquarters open, it's good to have somebody to come volunteer to be there, talk to people who come in. You'd be surprised how many people come in to get information. They want information like this. They want information on candidates. So we always, in the past, have had tables set up and the candidates each have their information. So, Mr. Bobby Williams, if your campaign would like to leave some of that materials behind, we can always set that up in our headquarters for you as well. So, I think that's about all the business that we needed to cover. Know that our next board meeting is the first Thursday of the month. I can't remember what that date is. Let's see if we can pull that date real quick. That will be the 4th. That's my birthday. So we'll have the board meeting at Beck Automotives. Bring cake and balloons, please. And then the 11th is our next meeting here. And I believe our buddy's not here tonight because he's working down at the Cape. I believe our guest speaker is Judson Sapp. So I will double check with Buddy, but I think that's who our guest speaker is. And that's all, unless somebody has something else they'd like to add. Yes.
Okay. I wanted to let you know if you are able to call the Capitol and speak with any representative, whether it's Senate or Congressman from the House. And if you want to jot down the phone number, this is the phone number of the Capitol. You get them. It's area code 202-224-3121, and that's a direct line to the Capitol. And if you call them, tell them to ask to say that. They're still stalling on that, and we need to have that ID, photo ID, available when anyone in any state goes to vote. So it's 202-224-3121.
Sue, thank you for bringing up the SAVE Act and the ID. One of the things that Charles brought up at our last REC meeting is that if you have gotten a new driver's license, it's more than likely you have a new number, and unless Charles has that new number on file, you might not like the outcome. So, no, anyway. Charles would like for you all, if you're by his office, stop in and let his staff look at your driver's license, get a copy if they need to. They need to update the records and make sure that you're able to vote without any glitches in the upcoming elections. Is that sort of the long and the short of it, Charles?
Yeah, it won't affect August and November, then the law doesn't affect the January first. We're just trying to get it out.
It's for next year, not this year. Okay. So, but you'll be sending out some additional information in the near future, correct? And I believe we also put something in our newsletter this month. So if you received a copy of the newsletter, we had a blurb in there from Charles's office to you all as well. All right.
One other thing.
Yes.
The part about 16-year-olds being able to register to vote, even though they can't vote till they're 18, we have 4 more minors that are voting.
4 minors. Minors or minors who are voting.
O-R-N-E.
That's great. It's great. Congratulations, guys. I saw your pictures on Facebook. Your dad was very proud of you guys. So, all right, team. We are going to be adjourned. We'll see you next month. But before you walk away, let's do the drawing, the 50-50 drawing. All right. So the last 3 numbers